Recording is on. Welcome to the October 26, 2023 regular meeting of the Human Services Advisory Board. I am calling the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. Thank you all for attending. And now I'm going to call the roll for the record of board member attendance. Yancy Arevalo, present. Clayton Carlisle.
Here.
Sherry.
Present. Yes, he's present.
Keith. Monica Gonzalez. Joanne Parsons.
Here.
Gloria Quinn. No. Courtney Welch.
She's not here either.
And Mariana Zamora.
So,
Okay. With 4 out of 7 voting members in attendance, we do have a quorum. Right?
yes.
Okay, cool. All right.
And let me tell Hannah something. Hannah, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and stop your video until it's your turn, just so we have a clean screen. Thank you.
So now we are in the citizen comment period. Carol, is there anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak during the citizen comment period?
No, we just have our speakers
Okay,
available.
moving on to the minutes. Should we hold up on that?
So just read what's on there.
Oh, minutes have not yet been created for the HSAB meetings and will be discussed under item 7, action items. Okay, now we will move on to the presentations. We will now receive a 5-minute presentation by the applicant agency for each program that was listed on this evening's agenda. Each agency will receive a 30-second warning as a 5-minute time limit is approaching, but the time limit is somewhat flexible. Each presentation will be followed by a 10-minute question and answer session between board members and the agency regarding the program or application. Members of the public are welcome to listen to the presentations, but will not take part in the discussion or the question and answer session. Each program will receive 15 minutes total for presentation and question and answer session. Since I am a voting member of the board, so that I can devote my attention to the presentations and discussion, Carol will introduce the presenters and track the time.
Okay, so up first, we have Bobcat Pride Scholarship Fund, the Jeremy O. Torres Emergency Stabilization Fund, and presenting for us tonight are Heather Idala and Stacy McGee. And so y'all can start anytime.
Can I have the capacity to share my screen, please?
Oh, yes. Let's see what I need to do.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you a co-host. I think that'll do it.
Okay.
Is that working for you? Your time won't start till you're
Okay.
all the technology ready.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah.
As I try and get everything queued up. All right, is that displaying properly
Yeah.
for everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
and let me do that. Okay, yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer then. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Heather Idala. I am the Executive Director of BPSF, and I am joined by Stacy McGee, who is our Operations Director. So BPSF provides emergency stabilization stipends of up to $300, which can help cover emergencies with rent, medical or mental health bills, car repairs, fuel to get to work, etc. BPSF specifically serves young adults that are between 18 and 25 years of age who are LGBTQIA+, meaning that they have a minority sexual and/or gender identities. We serve community members, which is inclusive of Texas State and ACC enrolled students. And we are the only organization in San Marcos with the emergency stabilization mission that specifically serves this marginalized population. Why is BPSF and the Jeremy O. Torres Emergency Stabilization Fund needed? We know right now young adults face extremely challenging economic situations. Wages have not kept up with housing and daily living costs, and education costs have increased dramatically. Young adults are even less likely to have any kind of a nest or savings for emergencies. And LGBTQIA plus individuals face additional challenges due to the lack of state and local protection against discrimination in housing, employment, and access to services. Many have decreased or no family community support because of their sexual and/or gender identities. So without emergency support, young adults could lose their housing, employment, transportation, and/or drop out of school. This could result in them applying for government support. BPSF is a safety net to help keep them from being in that position. So we were very grateful to be recipients of the 2023 San Marcos HSAB grant. And with that, we were able to serve 24 LGBTQIA plus San Marcos residents. And 60% of those recipients were queer people of color. Since 2021, we have provided 161 LGBTQA plus individuals with over $34,000 in emergency stabilization awards. We serve very low income individuals whose average monthly income is $668. And all 24 recipients that we supported through the grant last year reported extremely low, so 30% AMI annual household incomes. BPS emergency stabilization assistance allows San Marcos citizens to stay healthy, employed, and/or in school. Oh, good gracious, sorry. We help our young adults to remain productive citizens with the chance to thrive. BPSF has served San Marcos since 2010 and has long-term support from local businesses and donors. The majority of our board members have lived and worked in San Marcos for decades. Our working board of directors volunteer the professional services in the areas of social work, psychology, marketing, and accounting. And it's actually a professional social worker who provides consultation and referral resources to all applicants, even if they don't qualify for our award. We make sure that they know what their resources are. Last year, our board provided over 2,000 hours of volunteer professional services in San Marcos. We also keep our overhead expenses low since we do volunteer our time. Only 11% of our last fiscal year was overhead, and most of that expense was to cover our marketing so that we can reach applicants. So the $5,000, if we are awarded this year, would help us serve at least an additional 16 clients with up to $300 based on need, which would be a 25% increase in the clients that we are able to serve. So on behalf of the board and the San Marcos LGBTQ community, we want to say thank you for hearing our presentation. We also wanted to share some of the words of our recipients. So this was a quote from a recipient who identifies as a pansexual Western Middle Eastern female who was a San Marcos resident who had recently graduated from Texas State. And they said, my current job is required to limit hours after I graduated because it's a university job. So I'm limited to 19.75 work hours. My boyfriend is a migrant, and because of his status, his work has been really scarce and unreliable with the weather conditions lately. Money is extremely tight right now, and with rent coming up, we're trying to find any extra work that we can. So we were really proud to be able to support this applicant. This was another recipient, a 23-year-old lesbian, Black, non-binary San Marcos resident who was not attending school. She had shared that she's currently $384 late in paying rent, have different financial emergencies late last month that has affected the paying of my rent for August. And again, we were able to help her maintain her housing. And then this is the last one. This is from a 20-year-old bisexual, Hispanic, non-binary San Marcos resident who was attending Texas State at the time. I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to pay rent next month due to getting a new job doing freelance work. My parents have helped me in the past, but this month they have some other expenses that have taken priority. I have severe social anxiety, OCD, and depression, which makes working very hard. But I still try to do enough to pay my bills and support myself. Since I just started this line of work, pay is lower. Once I get more established, hopefully by the end of the month, pay will be more secure. So we just wanted to share a little bit of a picture of who we've been able to support in this past year. And then we would love to be able to field any of your questions.
Okay, and we'll just roll right into question and answer. Oh, Clayton, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. Number one, of your annual applications, what percentage of those get declined for not meeting your program criteria?
Okay, that is not a statistics that I have off the top of my head. The reasons why people would be declined, I mean, I can share that is they either don't identify within the community. So we have had people who identify as straight and cisgender apply. They're out of the age range, or they don't live in the service area that we serve. But I would say, I'm going to look to Stacy, I would say it's probably a pretty small percentage. I do think for most individuals, once they get into our online application and it's asking questions, when it's setting up the context for what we do, who we support, how we support them. And then as they start to get through the questions, probably if it's not a good fit, they might not finish the application. But we probably have had a handful. And again, with those applicants, Aracela, who is our program director, will still speak with them, offer them additional resources, kind of point them in the right direction.
Awesome, thank you.
We rarely have people apply who have a ton of funding and don't have an emergency, but sometimes like kind of what they think the fund is for maybe doesn't qualify as an emergency, and Aracela talks them through that and then lets them know if they do get into a place where it is an emergency, they could reapply. Stace, do you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Heather answered that brilliantly. Clayton, if those numbers are important to you, we can definitely gather those up and send them over to Carol in the next few days. I think what Heather mentioned is probably typically what happens. We do have a few who will go ahead and continue with the application, even though they might live outside the service area, be outside our age range, or not identify within the LGBTQIA+ community. But I think the way the application is laid out and the information that's on both our social media and our website are clear enough that if folks don't qualify, this probably isn't a service that they're going to apply for. But we can certainly get those numbers over to Carol to share with the committee.
I appreciate that. And you answered my second question with all that information, so I appreciate that response, y'all.
Hey, Sheree.
Yeah, I have a few questions. First is, how big is your service area?
So we serve the greater San Marcos area, including all of Hays County. So we realize that San Marcos does kind of well, Stacy, you want to explain this? I feel like you get it better. There are areas that are outside of like the city limits, but are still part of Hays County, and we serve those areas as well.
Correct. We kind of place emphasis on San Marcos zip code, Hays County zip code, and then any of those kind of surrounding communities that still are kind of San Marcos adjacent. For example, Redwood, we know that, some folks over in Redwood have San Marcos addresses. Some folks who live just across the border in Caldwell County also have San Marcos addresses. So when we talk about the greater San Marcos area, it's all of Hays County, but then it's also those communities that might not be in Hays County that still have a San Marcos address. There's a couple of outliers right there in northern Comal County as well. So that's what we mean when we talk about the greater San Marcos service area in all of Hays County.
And I will clarify, when it comes to the grant money, that money is only applied to San Marcos residents. And so we're very specific in tracking that and ensuring that the award money for those specific stipends is only going to San Marcos residents. And our fundraising and our support from our donor community is what then supports residents in the rest of the area.
So that's exactly what I was gonna point out to you, because we have new board members, so I wanted to make sure y'all know we're able to see that in the reports.
Correct. And so we were very clear on how we tracked that and reported that in our annual report that was submitted maybe about a month ago. So.
So my second question was the name Bobcat Pride. Why specifically just Bobcats versus something Hayes County or San Marcos related?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. So when we were founded in 2013 as a 501c3, our specific mission was to support Texas State Bobcats. And now 4 years ago, time kind of flies, we expanded that mission for the Jeremy O. Torres Emergency Stabilization Fund, specifically because we wanted to be able to serve 18 to 25-year-old citizens who maybe found that college was not the right path, who were going to ACC, who were going to technology school, who were still trying to figure out, I mean, that age range is so ripe for just trying to figure out where your footing is, what your path is. And so we know Texas State is not always that option. And we really wanted to be able to support the queer community in that age range regardless of that. So that's why we say we serve community members inclusive of Texas State and ACC students with the Jeremy O. Torres Emergency Stabilization Fund. So things
Okay.
evolve over time.
Okay, and I imagine maybe the name will evolve eventually. Only reason I bring that up is obviously because this is San Marcos taxpayer fund grants, and obviously the town and the university haven't always, had the best relations. So anyway, that's a whole other thing.
That is why we go by BPSF. It's kind of like HCWC, right? Hayes Caldwell Women's Center.
Mhm.
When they were initiated, when they got their 501c3 status, our understanding and focus of helping interpersonal violence survivors was a focus on people who were women, who identified as women. And over time, that has evolved, and they do serve the LGBTQ community, inclusive of trans gender individuals, as well as men, because we do now know that young boys and men can be survivors of interpersonal violence. But because it's so well known in the community to go through the process of changing it as a 501c3 and maintaining that relationship with your donor community and your recipient community can be hard. So we've
Gotcha.
modeled, which because they are an amazing nonprofit in our community, we've kind of modeled going by BPSF specifically, so that there kind of isn't that misnomer. But I know HCWC has to explain that difference a lot too. So
Okay. And my last question, I guess maybe is kind of like a two-pronged question or so. Excuse me, I gotta gather my thoughts here. So if I remember correctly, you served 24 last year and you can serve 16 more this year. Was that correct? So
That
it'd be
is
a total of 40.
correct.
But you're saying it's only $300 or so for the stipend. How is that going to work with 24 last year and 16 more this year, which is 40, but the amount you requested is the same?
So that's an excellent question. And what we put in our report was during the fiscal year that we were awarded the grant last year, we determined it was kind of in the middle of our fiscal year. So kind of the timeline of this grant and our fiscal year kind of overlap in a different way. And as a board, we were able to sit down and look at our finances and work with our financial director, Karen Gordon-Sosby. And in January of this year, we were able to increase our stipend from the $200 that it was during the first part of our grant receiving funds to $300. And we communicated that with Carol and the board last year, that was going to be a change from what we had applied for, and then kind of how that application process unfolded over an extended time in our decision as a board. So some of those recipients received $200. Some received $300 based on kind of where we were at in our award cycle in that fiscal kind of transition. And then this year it will be $300 because that's what we're able to provide up to. And that's the other thing, it's up to $300. So it's really based on need. So sometimes we have applicants who are like, I really just need $150 to kind of hold me over with this. So we really work with them to understand their need and then award a stipend that fits for what that need is.
And one last follow-up question on that. Would you ever consider raising the stipend to 500 or so? Especially with the way inflation's going, food stuff and everything.
Well, and I would love to kind of use the model of what I just shared of
Mhm.
in being fiscally responsible. If we were able to receive more grant money, if we had kind of a really generous donor year through our fundraising, absolutely. We're constantly taking that step back and working as a board and working with our financial director, because we also want to think about our sustainability, right? We don't want to run out of funds in 2 years. So we've got a 3-year long-term plan to make sure that whatever amount we're awarding, we're going to be able to maintain that. So if that income comes in higher, if we're able to apply for and receive more grants, if we have an amazing year of donations, then those are all things that we're taking into account and making those decisions. We know, that's why we went from 200 to 300, right? Because we know that helps enough, but if we can continue increasing that, and we also need to see what the need is, right? So we've been serving about 60 individuals per year. So we're keeping track of that trend. So while the grant helped us support a portion of our overall recipients, we're going to keep on looking at the trend of how many recipients, how many applications are coming in and how many recipients we're awarding. So.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and I know Yancy had some questions.
No, I think that question was answered.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are running a little long, so we're at 18 minutes, so I thought, Joanne, do you have any questions? I don't want to cut you off either. Okay. Okay, then we should end this presentation and move on to the next one, but thanks y'all for sharing about your program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Stacy.
All right, thanks. And then next up is Access Network, the Access STEAM program, and the presenter is Dr. Shatay Ashford Hansard. There she is. Okay, good. Okay, do you need to share your screen? I mean, it's not necessary.
Yes, please.
You do, okay. 1 second. I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Okay.
Oh, and there it is. Okay. So we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for this opportunity to present the Access STEAM program. This is a program that is affiliated with Texas State University, but it is managed through a separate nonprofit. The organization's legal name is Power to Prosper Community Development Corporation, and we do business as the Access Network. And so I wanted to share with you this slide because I wanted to explain the history. So this program was initially birthed through a grant-funded program that I run at Texas State using the full name Access. So Access is the grant-funded program at Texas State. Access Network is the actual nonprofit organization. And so the outcomes of this initial grant that was funded through the National Science Foundation was basically to produce the Access Network as a separate nonprofit organization, and then to create the Access Model, which is our curriculum framework that we use for our Access STEAM camps. And so this was birthed here in San Marcos, and many of these partners participated in initial focus groups and helped to contribute to the design of the model and the framework that we're using today for the camps. This is the board of directors, and so myself and also my husband serve as founder, president, and vice president. We are a faith-based organization. And then there's board members that represent faculty from Texas State as well as community members. In terms of our mission, the mission of the Access Network is to serve as a coalition focused on providing underrepresented and underserved youth with access to STEM, agriculture, and computing pathways. And in particular, we work with grassroots organizations and faith-based organizations to provide resources and funding. We're also serving as a direct service provider also, in addition to supporting other partners as well. So let's get into our camp. So this is a flyer from our camp for this year. So we have an 8-week camp that we've been running for the past 3 years. And thankfully, to your support of these camps, I have also proven to the National Science Foundation that these programs that are initially funded through their support can be sustained through local and regional contexts. And so I'm often called on to talk about sustainability of nonprofit organizations because we currently do not receive funding from the National Science Foundation. Any new funding that I've received is to really expand the model into other communities across the state and also in other states. And so just sharing with you and being transparent about my efforts in the community and the importance of sustaining this work here in San Marcos, because it's tied to the overall success of this program nationally. And this program is becoming more and more of a national model. In terms of our curriculum framework, I wanted to give you a little bit more insight this year into what do we actually teach the youth about in this camp. And so through your support, we've been able to initially, one of our faith-based organizations donated their curriculum because I brought forth initially just the research funded model. And so we've been building upon that curriculum to provide an 8-week curriculum. We started out with just a 1-week curriculum in 2019 when we did our pilot. And so through the last couple of summers, we were able to hire an instructional designer who was actually a Texas State graduate student. Many of our instructors have been high school and graduate students and undergraduate students from the local university as well as local schools. And then my board is volunteer based. And so we've had been able to expound upon this and provide this 8-week curriculum that is connected or really aligned with TEKS learning standards as well, educational standards. In addition to that, we've been able to, since the pilots, it's been 4 years, over the past 3 years is what we've been funded through HSAB, but 2019 was the pilot year in which we were funded by the National Science Foundation. So last year, actually this year, I'm already moved on to 2024. We were able to serve 27 youth here locally in San Marcos. So our numbers went down a little bit. We've been looking for ways to be able to sustain the funding of the grant and look for ways to diversify our funding, because currently our sole, the majority, I can't say sole because we've had some smaller grants that are mentioned in the application that we've received, but we tried to provide a small offer a small stipend, or really it wasn't a stipend, a small registration fee per family. And I believe that hurt our registration because we wanted to be able to sustain the work and begin to build additional funding streams. And so in the previous year, when we offered the camp fully free, you can see we were able to serve 69 youth through the summer. And the camps that we provide, again, they're based on this research-driven model that also includes an online learning platform. And really, you know, when we talk about equity and providing access to STEM, computing, and agriculture for all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, etc. We also want to help produce and involve families as well, and increase the sense of belonging amongst these students so they can see themselves in STEM, see themselves in computing. And because of really a growing interest in where we are regionally around agriculture and being a small producer and being able to help provide access to resources to grow their own and provide for their families. We added in the horticulture component as well. And then role models and mentors. So by engaging Texas State students and students from nearby universities and high schools, they're working with near peer mentors in these programs as well. And then also, as I mentioned, the alignment with TEKS helps us to reinforce what they're already learning in schools. So we want to reinforce what our local school district is doing in terms of providing access to STEM and computing. So we do that.
Dr. Ashford answered, I wanted you to know that we're at 7.5 minutes. And so
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and we
just
only have kind of 15 to 20 total, so I just wanted you to know, like, we want to have enough time for Q&A.
okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. These are just some of the metrics that we capture. But in terms of our need for funding, as I mentioned before, I do receive grant funding, as I mentioned, to expand this in other communities, but not to sustain this locally. And so we really are dependent upon the funding from the city to continue this work and to continue offering support to the youth here. And I've already shared with you how we provide hands-on experiences, and we really have a goal to strengthen our talent pipeline here locally from the high school to college. And so this year, as we gear up for 2024, we're going to provide more on-campus experiences for these students. And that's one of the benefits of being affiliated with Texas State. We can also provide them with on-campus, STEM and computing experiences as well. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time today.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll kind of bring it up to where we can see each other. Let's see, can you take your presentation down, I guess? If you don't mind?
Sure. Let me stop sharing. Okay.
Okay. And then we are open for Q&A.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Yancy.
So what was the registration fee that was, I guess this past summer?
We had a one-time registration fee for families of $99, and those were families who were above our moderate income levels. And so we provided free scholarships for low income and moderate levels using the income guidelines that you've provided. And so, but those who could afford it, we, according to those guidelines, we wanted to be able to have them to pay that initial $99 fee per family, but they can enroll their students in any number of our sessions. We had 4 2-week sessions this year. And so last year, we noticed that we had a disproportionate amount of families that were not low income. We wanted to intentionally provide opportunities for low income families this year.
Okay. And so how are you, I guess, marketing this program, how did you and how would you do it differently, I guess, maybe, to be able to reach that demographic that you're trying to reach?
Yes, great question. So in these numbers as well, we have a partnership with the Housing Authority, and we actually go to the Housing Authority and facilitate camps on site for an hour or two each week. So we can also increase our outreach to families that may want to send their children to our half-day camps for 2 weeks within that targeted community, but then also doing more outreach and providing flyers. We did more social media marketing and using our current network, but we definitely want to do more intentional outreach with flyers at the local community centers as well. and through the Housing Authority. And we currently help provide programming at least 3 sites within the Housing Authority where we go on site.
Right,
Okay, go ahead.
are we good?
Can y'all hear us?
Yep.
Okay, we were getting an error message, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No, that was it, thank you.
Okay, Clayton?
Yes, thank you. Do you know at hand of those 27 students, how many paid the registration fee and how many were on your scholarship?
That's a great question. I can confirm that. I don't have that data before me. If I remember correctly, and I'm just totally guessing offhand, from what I saw in terms of the interactions back and forth, we're probably talking, I know at least 3 to 5 families paid that. I didn't see any family pay any more than because a couple of families had their children enrolled for more than one camp, but it was a one-time $99 registration. And so in terms of how much we made out of that, we may have made about $900 or so. I can tell you now that we've spent all of the HSAB funding to date that was provided last year as of when our final report was turned in. The previous year we had issues with providing the cost reimbursement. And so that was really a part of that because we're still a very small grassroots organization. We make less than $50,000 a year. And so we still want to make sure that we can provide that reimbursement and pay our instructors on time. And so we were able to do that successfully with a new program manager on board who helped us manage the process as well.
Okay, great. And my second question is, have y'all considered working with the schools in the consolidated school district, or like I know you said you're affiliated with Texas State too, but are you trying to get students at their respective schools as well?
I definitely would like to. That's one of our gaps right now in goals. Is in 2024, I want to intentionally reach out to low performing students who have a desire to pursue STEM and invite them to these on-campus experiences. And so we still would have the community-based camp, but then take them over to Ingram Hall and engage them on campus so they can get that on-campus experience too.
Awesome. Thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
Anyone else? Okay. If that's all the questions we have, we'll go on to our next speaker. So thank you very much, Dr. Asher Hansard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next presenter is Hannah Durance. She's presenting for Home Center, which is Hannah, you're gonna have to tell me what the acronym stands for. Oh, and you're muted, sorry.
I see that, I apologize. Homeless Outreach Mitigation and Emergency Center is Home Center.
Okay, sorry, I know that, but then I didn't know it. Okay.
It's a mouthful, I apologize.
Yeah, so, and she's presenting the program called San Marcos General Assistance Program Bridge. So here's Hannah. And do you need to share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'll make you a co-host. 1 second. Okay, you are up.
So Homeless Outreach Mitigation and Emergency Center assists individuals who are unhoused in Hays County. We do serve all of Hays County. My name is Hannah Durance. I am the programs director. We do have a board of unpaid individuals who are volunteers to assist us. Currently, we are partnered with Via Hope in Austin. It is a mental health resource and we are providing peer training. So we have one individual that we're currently working with who we're training to be a peer, and we're lined up for next quarter to be working with 3 peers that we will be training to work directly with individuals who are already in housing, that we've already assisted with getting into housing, and we want to help them maintain their housing. And the way that we do some of that work is we train peers how to provide transportation safely, to assist with job search, provide some resources that for their mental health and their physical health needs. Peers work with them to ensure access to needed resources, such as childcare assistance or mental health services, counselors that they may need. They also, so we do have some peers that we work with who work specifically with individuals who may have some criminal history, who are trying to navigate the criminal system, the judicial system. And then we also have peers that not only do the judicial system or mental health, we also have individuals that are working on other situations that are related to homelessness specifically. So anyone who's training as a peer has to have lived experience with whatever issue that they're working with the client on. And we do try to find ones who've had experience with homelessness. Home Center has a housing first model. With our housing first model, we have a 90% retention rate for maintaining individuals' housing. So the process, the steps for assessing individuals is we do an assessment with them. We then assist them with obtaining some sort of short-term shelter, perhaps through Southside Community Center, BR3T, or we provide direct motel support and place people in a motel temporarily while we do case management with them to keep them stable. Then we begin to do extensive case management, helping them to apply for services, helping them to reach out to other agencies that might be able to assist them more. Then we assist them with their long-term housing goals, helping them with applications, application fees, security deposits if needed, working with the VA for our veterans to help them get into Section 8, which would be HUD-VASH. So we've partnered with the Housing Authority and the VA to ensure that individuals who are veterans are able to access HUD-VASH, and they get Section 8 vouchers for qualifying applicants. So we work directly with the VA on that. We also connect clients with area resources and assist them with the applications for various programs in the community through Community Action, SHIVE, and other services. We provide them transportation for applying for their housing, for mental health care, medical care, applying for resources, obtaining VA benefits, obtaining a disability or disability increases. We also assist with move-in support. So each step in the process is to get them stable. So once we have someone who has obtained housing, it doesn't do any good to put them into an empty home. So then we assist them with obtaining furniture, household items, cleaning supplies, whatever they may need to remain stable and to be able to maintain that housing setting. Then we provide ongoing case management and services to ensure the client remains stable and continue to connect them with ongoing resources in the community. So we provide extensive case management. We do an assessment to determine the qualifications for the program. The income must be 45% AMI or below, except for veterans. If the VA recognizes that a veteran needs a HUD-VASH voucher and their income is slightly above this, we may work with that individual as well. They must be unhoused, or they could be at risk of becoming unhoused and are working with a partner agency, and we're trying to help them maintain their housing. And they have to have specific housing barriers that we're able to help them with to ensure that they overcome those barriers. Each individual gets an individualized action plan. We have to ensure that they have an achievable housing goal. So we do have individuals who may have barriers that we're not able to assist with because they're unwilling to maybe get drug counseling, or they're unwilling to get mental health counseling, and that's their barrier. And if they're not able to work on those barriers, then we're unable to further assist them until they are able to work on those barriers. So we do help them with creating a mental health treatment plan, a medical treatment plan for those who need it, a drug or alcohol addiction treatment plan. They must be willing to work with multiple agencies to obtain long-term housing goals and to overcome whatever barriers they might face. Then we also make referrals to partner agencies or area services. They have to show a willingness to work with partner agencies and follow up with the referrals that we provide for them, as long as those agencies are able and willing to assist them. Community involvement and case management. So we do case data collection and case management through a system called Homeless Management Information Systems, or HMIS. We are recognized through Texas Homeless Network as a partner agency through them to do case management, and we utilize a statewide system called Client Track. And all of the data that is collected through us, all the case management notes is collected and reported directly to HUD. We have over 10 volunteers. We've served over 150 households in 2023. We've had over 20 households rehoused in 2023. We've provided more than 30 beds, 6 sofas, 15 dressers, 10 tables and chairs, and additional household items that we've delivered as move-in support. So we actually pay for the U-Haul, and we pick up the furniture and then we deliver it to their homes. Usually it's donated items, but sometimes we do purchase some items that are used or new to make sure, especially those households that have children, are able to have beds for those children. We've picked up and delivered for more than 20 households in 2023. So we do have a veterans program specifically. As I said, we work directly with the VA and with the San Marcos Housing Authority to ensure that these veterans get housed. We currently have 8. We have utilized the only 8 vouchers that we had. So in order for the VA to continue to use us for this case management program, we had to utilize 8 vouchers. We've already done that. And now the VA and the Housing Authority are looking at supplying 8 more vouchers so that we can work with 8 more veterans in the next 6 months to a year to get 8 additional homeless veterans housed. So far, we've served 16 veterans. Of those, 8 did qualify for HUD-VASH and were rehoused. 3 others were housed, but not with the HUD-VASH vouchers. They were able to get an increase in either their disability or income, and we were able to help them get into housing.
And Hannah, I'm gonna let you know you're at 8 minutes, and so if you could just wrap up kind of soon, that would be great.
And so Home Center also actively hires veterans and encourages them to be peers, so that we can train them to get under us to be able to qualify for a job through doing peer work. So move-in support, again, we've assisted with helping people get into housing. This is one of the bedrooms for one of the children that we provided the house, all of the furniture and the items that you see in the photo. Activism and research outreach, we've worked with the Texas State University to train some of the students there and educate them about the work that we do so that they could go back into their classrooms and teach others. And that's my program.
Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Let's see, I guess if we can get the screen back. Let's see. I think oh wait, no, I did it wrong. Sorry, I'm not helping. Is there a way you can stop sharing your screen?
Yes, I'm trying to do it. It just went up.
I couldn't figure it out either. Okay.
Okay.
So now we're at question and answer period, and y'all are welcome to ask questions.
Is it fair to say that your Hotels and More program from the past has evolved into this program you're requesting funding for?
Yes. So we did begin doing more motels than other things, but we realized that we were putting people in motels and we were not seeing we were putting a lot of people in motels, but we weren't narrowing it down to populations to getting them housed and getting them stable. And so we've switched the program up to become with the Housing First model to be able to assist a person getting them into a motel, see if the case management is going to work for that individual, and to see if they are going to be a good fit for our program to do a Housing First model. So as long as they are applying for Section 8, they're applying for some form of housing and working actively to overcome their barriers, then we're helping them to maintain their house, get into housing.
Thank you.
So we still do motel stays, but we now are more selective in that assistance.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification.
Anybody else?
How many case managers do you have?
Currently, we have 2 case managers and 2 peers. Next quarter, we'll have 3 peers and we'll have the 2 case managers.
I think your presentation was pretty clear, so it seems like there's not many questions. Does anybody else have questions? So, oh, hang on for 1 second.
We do also have a residency state form that individuals have to fill out, and part of the process is that they have to identify that they are either living in San Marcos, and for us to work with a client, so part of us being able to put someone in a motel, or there has to be a medical need, like a medical emergency for us to put someone in a motel, or they have to be working with another agency that has requested our assistance with that, and then they have to that agency has to show that they're working directly with that client to reach a housing goal. So we don't provide the support until we're actually working with another partner agency on that.
Okay.
And we provide up to $1,500 annually financial assistance for individuals. So we do have an individual who has applied for disability but has not received disability yet. And we're taking them to their appointments, trying to ensure that they do get the disability that has been pending for 2 years. And we've been working with them during that 2-year period. But since they're in housing, they do owe rent. So our program pays for the rent. We also will pay for a utility bill if other agencies are unable to pay that bill. So this is ongoing support. It is not a one-time payment. It is ongoing assistance to ensure that they remain stable throughout the year. And then they reapply at the end of the year. If they're still needing that support, we still will recertify them, and they can apply to be in the program another year if they're still needing that support.
Okay, thanks for the clarification, and things seems clear. So I think we'll move on to the next presentation. But thanks a lot, Hannah, for your presentation about the program.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, so for our next presentation, we were going to have Irma Palacios, who had been contacting me about presenting she called me this morning upset about her house flooding. So due to weather impact, you get Carol Griffith with the presentation. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, and then we will walk through. She provided a PowerPoint for us to view. So, and I already have it up. Okay, this is up. Okay, and I'm not able to show it full screen view. So anyway, proceeding on. So the presentation is for Centro Esperanza, and the request is called Overhead Cost Needs Fulfillment. This is for Redwood Community Center, and it does business as Centro Esperanza Community Center. Here's just a shot of their facility and some of the people they've helped. They strive to provide services that for the community, by the community. So their focus is to provide health and wellness, adult and youth education, and basic needs referral for the surrounding community. And they serve a variety of clients through partnerships and sponsors. So they are saying explore our programs and volunteer opportunities to get connected. So it sounds like they would welcome anyone to volunteer for their programs. Okay, here's all of their programs. They provided a list, and you can see it includes immunizations, benefits assistance, like helping people apply for benefits, even pet food. Let's see, Esperanza Baby Pantry. I'm sorry, I don't know what all of these are, but you can kind of imagine that would supply needed services and supplies to people who are expecting. A youth program in the summer, various giveaways like a hygiene closet, a flu clinic, etc. So you can see they have a sort of an emphasis on benefits and health and so forth. Okay, and this is quite a bit of information. The Redwood community, started to form in the mid-1980s. And I think, I'm assuming that we're all kind of, familiar with that area. It is a lower income area in general. That is just right sort of in San Marcos or next to it. So they do serve San Marcos residents who are coming to their center, basically. What else? They've received grants from the United Way, it looks like, and so forth. They're looking to continue to grow and develop in whatever ways can best serve the community with 3 focuses. So health and wellness, seniors and youth, and, so maybe it's health and wellness, seniors and youth. That's 3. Okay. Okay, their mission statement, it is a 501c3 service agency. Mission is to act as a catalyst to empower, promote, and facilitate equality to address the health, wellness, welfare, social, cultural, and recreational needs of the community. So, diversity statement, they are, they welcome everyone. Their vision statement is in here, providing programs to enrich youth, seniors, and families, health and wellness, welfare, developing partnerships with other nonprofits, and so forth. They do have a board of directors, of course. Here are their goals, guided by the leadership of the board of directors. They are trying to keep the center, open and sustainable for service to the community. Here's the list of their board of directors. This was probably I would assume this was in your packet so that you can see who's serving. This has a video. Oh, and I forgot to time myself. Sorry. Okay, we'll start now. I'll run the video just for a minute. I'm not sure how long it is.
Working with schools and nonprofits to launch hygiene closets to provide families access to personal care items.
Next to the camera.
Provide grants to community-based organizations to help stock
On the
these
video?
closets for individuals.
The camera running? Okay.
Oh, great.
The Mutual Clean to Power aid initiative to provide needed hygienic essentials to our community members. By embracing and applying good hygiene practices to safeguard physical health, improve self-esteem.
Okay, I'm gonna pause there. I think you got the picture. They have a hygiene closet that really helps people in that specific way. And I know we all have an awareness of how important that has been recently, through the pandemic. They have a partnership. I'm sorry, I don't know all of these, so I'm gonna just kind of go through. Happen
Are there
Ventures,
any more slides in there?
just a couple.
Oh.
So we'll keep going. Numerous opportunities for volunteers. And then there's their contact information. So I know this has been a little disjointed. I'll go ahead and stop sharing and then we can discuss. If you have, I did let her know if y'all have questions, I can send them to her this evening and then she can reply tomorrow and get the answers to you pretty quickly. Do y'all have any questions for Central Esperanza? They're also a new applicant, so we don't have a track record with them.
So. They requested funds of 16,000 and that's to pay all of the overhead costs. And to pay for a new building, or is it just overhead?
16,000 wouldn't cover a new building.
Okay,
So I haven't looked at their application, but I would assume that's only for their overhead.
okay.
I can get her to clarify like more specifically what they're gonna use the funding for. If you need
Okay,
that.
I was just looking at my notes from however long ago that was.
Mhm.
That says need new building, so that clarifies that.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't wanna belabor it.
That's in the Redwood community. I know where that is. Is that just within that small community?
Well, I think,
I know-
the facility is, and so what I have emphasized is they would have to track that they are serving San Marcos residents, but it sounded like, from what I understand, they do have people come from San Marcos to their center, and so. But that is a good question, like, that's kind of a, like, how many do they serve from San Marcos or something?
Yeah, I know Redwood, I know San Marcos, it's kind of included in the San Marcos area. I don't, yeah, cause I know where this area is and I've been to that facility and I've also, been to that church and I know that they do clothing and food and all that as well, but I'm just thinking that, it's mainly to service that small community, Redwood community. I'm doing this that goes kind of away from San Marcos, but it's still, we've always considered Redwood a part of San Marcos. So I've read through their packet, but I'm still kind of a little confused about some things. So, okay.
Okay.
It would have been
Well,
nice if she had been here.
Yeah, really, it would have. She was pretty stressed. So that makes me think too, one thing I checked before we accepted the application was, do they serve San Marcos residents? But I think I want to check to see if Redwood is in San Marcos city limits, because
Nah, it's not. It's like 5 miles.
it's not. So we may need to clarify, like, how many San Marcos residents do they serve, especially if they're kind of asking for all their overhead expenses.
Right. And she's probably like I am, just looking at Redwood as San Marcos, not
Yeah.
thinking that it's a separate. And so, yeah, I could see why she would apply for and how the application would be pushed through because of Redwood. But it'd be nice to see how many actual San Marcos residents, come to Redwood for that facility because and for the services that they provide, because I was looking at some of the services and a lot of them are duplicate of what maybe St. Vincent de Paul and some other agencies. And then I also saw in a video where they had the food truck. So I'm thinking that they do a bulk with the food truck from the food bank instead of the agency, because I know with Province Land they have a bulk that they do, but then I do the actual agency part. So I'm just wondering how they're doing theirs as well.
Okay.
And I don't even think it's in Hayes County. I think it's in Guadalupe County, isn't it?
Yeah, that's okay.
I
because
think
some
so, Sheree.
parts-
Yeah.
Yeah, so some parts of the city, the actual city of San Marcos are in Guadalupe County and also Caldwell, I believe. But we can't really fund programs for people outside the city limits because this is city money. So
Mhm.
we want to make sure they're serving enough people to justify it, I guess, basically.
Okay. And what would be enough people to justify? I mean, saying that they serve 20 San Marcos, but 5 Redwood, would it have to be like over a number? What would be their justification?
So, what we would require of them for reporting, for example, normally is we expect them to track where the people are from that they're serving. So I don't know if I'm helping, because
No, you
so-
are helping.
Yeah.
You are.
the question is, like, if they're asking for so much for their overhead, that's very general. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, to me, it's a little bit like, what percentage of their people are from San Marcos? And if it's below 50 or 60, then, why would we provide them money for their? Yeah,
Okay. That answers a lot. Yeah, thank you.
okay, I'll try to do my best to get some questions out to her that are clear, and then we'll see what we can do.
See, my concern is not so much that it's San Marcos residents or not, because most of the people in Redwood actually used to be San Marcos residents, and they used to be 3, 4, 5th generation San Marcans that had to
Oh.
eventually move out that way. My concern is asking, like everybody's been saying, 16,000 right off the bat, when, you know, we don't know the direct impact that's going in San Marcos right now. So yeah, this will be something that we'll have to revisit when we start talking about the allocations and everything. I think we can definitely go to the next item so we can discuss all of them together. Yancy, what do you think?
Okay,
Let's do that.
okay.
All right, moving on to item number 6, discussion items. We will now hold discussion among board members on programs, agencies, and applications for the purpose of clarification, comparison, evaluation, and assessment. This discussion is public. However, it is only among board members. This time is meant to be a free flow of conversation, but please make your comments succinct to allow time for all board members to share if they wish. This discussion will be facilitated by Carol Griffith, Housing and Community Development Manager.
Okay, so our usual discussion period, and I know we've been running long, so I'll try to just couch it with, we do definitely need to get to the action item this evening. So is there anything in particular that y'all want to bring out about the presenters from this evening's presentations?
Bobcat Prize is really clear, good information. I don't really have any questions because it was all there.
That's good.
With Bobcat Pride, I was maybe you guys kind of keyed into. I was actually thinking of giving them more than they were asking for, honestly, because $300 for such a underserved and marginalized community, you know, it'd be nice for them to have a lifeline when they need it. Because when I was looking at their stats, you know, they're surviving on $688 a month. I mean, that creates a really, really pressing need for a community that, you know, there's been studies that say if you put pronouns on a resume, they're not going to hire you and stuff like that. So it's a very sad situation. So I really think that what they do is really, really good for that community. The other two, Access and Home, those are pretty straightforward. That's all I can say about that one. And then the last one, I think we had a pretty good discussion already on maybe funding them, but maybe not as much. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
For who?
For Central Esperanza.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the 3 presenters we had today were very detailed, and like y'all said about Bobcat Pride, I thought the highlight of the night is how, you know, even if they don't grant someone an application or they don't pass for whatever reason, they still hook them up with resources that they may need to help them in their life. I thought that was really awesome.
And also another thing that I really liked about their presentation is they're very, very diligent of the money that gets donated to them. So it's not like, oh, we're taking all this extra money. No, they're actually being like, okay, we have this money. How do we best use it for their purposes? Joanne, thoughts?
Yeah, I've been following Bobcat Pride, I think, ever since they first started. And it's good I mean, it's sad to see that they still have to have that organization because of discrimination against them, even having to go to the churches for help. They were having problems at one time. So it's sad to see that organization has to exist, but it's really, I agree with you. I wish that we could give them more, even though we cannot, based off of what they've asked for. But it'd be nice if we could maybe recommend, because we've done recommendations with them before, that they maybe ask for more money next time. The other organizations, especially Access, they also partnered with YSB. And so I've seen their growth too. Like Clayton was asking about them partnering with the liaisons at the different schools. I would really love to see them do more of that, because I think the low income challenged families would be able to benefit that even from the school. The other presentators, and except for Centro, were pretty straightforward, and especially Home. And I've had the privilege of helping Hannah out during the holidays with clothing, food, and also Christmas gifts for the kids and stuff. So I was able to go, even though we don't do site visits, but I was able to go and just see firsthand what that program actually looks like. And it's all that she says and a lot more, especially helping our homeless out. So she's really a godsend along with Southside Community Center in helping our homeless community.
I want to bring something up really quick. Irma Palacios is on our meeting now. Do you want to back up slightly to ask her the specific questions? Or would you rather I give them to her in writing? Either one is totally fine. We have the time. We're only at 7:15.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Yancy, you're the chair, so
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's fine. She's here now, so we can ask her the questions.
okay. So then I think what we'll do is I'm officially turning the floor back over to Yancy, and she has decided to move back to item 5. And so at this point, I'll go ahead and bring on Irma, just 1 second.
Should I write that on here?
Yeah, that'd be good. And I need to just remember. Okay. To kind of bring her over. Okay, so Irma, are you there? I don't know if you have video capabilities, but I think you're on the phone. So we are not able to hear you yet. See if she can get in.
I'm on the phone, but yeah, we're having technical difficulties here at the center.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, great.
Let me see if I can make the sound just a little bit higher. Okay. So I don't know when you came in. I just saw that your hand raised in the time that we were talking. So the board had some various questions. Do y'all want me to go ahead and ask them, or do y'all want to just kind of ask the question? Okay, let me tell you what I wrote down, Irma. What we're talking about is we realize, you know, Redwood isn't technically in the city limits, but we still want to look at, you know, how can we justify support for this using San Marcos money? Because of course it's right next to San Marcos. So we were curious, the board was curious about like the percentage of San Marcos residents that are served. Do you track the location, like the address of the people that you serve? And do you know how many are actually in the city limits of San Marcos?
Well, that's our conundrum. I asked specifically when this grant application process, the email went out, I specifically asked if we were qualifiers because of our given situation. We reside in Guadalupe County by boundary line, but we're an ETJ of San Marcos. All of the students attend the San Marcos School District. All the physical addresses have San Marcos, Texas. And I was told to go ahead and apply because I said, should I put in all of this effort if we're not going to qualify? Will it be worth it? And I was told to go ahead and apply. So I feel like I did my due diligence. I do believe I have that on email where I asked that specific question and I was told to go ahead and apply. So given the fact that there are San Marcos physical addresses and all the children attend the San Marcos School District, I don't know how, what the logistics are from the funders or the grantors. We do try to follow every given detail regarding the qualifying point, and we try to ask the correct questions, as this is occurring, and I felt that we had done that, which is why we went ahead and pursued with applying.
Okay, so do you track, do you have like a form that people fill out when they access your services that tell you what address they have?
For every given program, they have to fill out a registration form.
Okay. That might help. And then, another question was, can you tell us more about your food truck operation? Like, do you partner with the Hayes County Food Bank or does it work in some other way?
No, we work collaboratively with the San Marcos Food Bank because we also supply the turkey list from the residents in this area. Once we've met the maximum that we're turkeys or whatever, we're able to get food from the San Antonio Food Bank. But being that we fall under Guadalupe County, we fall under the auspices of the San Antonio Food Bank, not the capital area food bank in Austin.
Got it.
Now, the
So-
San Antonio Food Bank does also supply food to the capital area food bank because they stop here sometimes on their way to Austin or from Austin to make drop-offs.
Okay. So you're actually drawing food from the San Antonio Food Bank to supply your food truck to serve your community.
Correct. Correct.
Got it.
And we've been able to get some grants through the congressional or through the senators. We attend our annual meetings to be able to continue being qualifiers as distributors. And we take advantage of that and we meet with our congressional representatives to ensure that we're able to continue getting grant monies to be able to provide for the people in this community.
Got it. Those are the main questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So one thing that a lot of people get mistaken is that we are in partnership or that we have something to do with the Redwood Baptist Church, with the Redwood Church, Baptist Church. And we have absolutely nothing to do with the church. And we've been trying to remove that stigma and it's difficult to do. We've been here already since 2009 was when we first started brainstorming. So we've been here 14 years and we still get mistaken as being partnered with the Redwood Baptist Church, and we absolutely have nothing to do with them. And then we also get confused with Centro Cultural, which were two separate entities. But again, we're a small building. We outsource a lot. We partner and we outsource to different agencies in San Marcos. The Salvation Army refers clients to us. We refer clients to BR3T, the Women's Shelter, the judicial system. We've dealt with a lot of family of violence survivors that have they sent over to our center, whether it be for clothing, for food. So also Southside community. We also distribute food and other resources to Sunrise Village, to the Springtown Villa seniors. So I think we're pretty well knitted with San Marcos, particularly the elderly. On an individual basis, I have people coming to my door at almost any given time. I've helped an individual obtain a City of San Marcos grant to have his home remodeled. I've helped individuals do their disabilities, and so has the center administrator. This is on our own time aside from being here at the center. They know the type of work that we do, and they just don't know where else to go. And we're not ones to turn anybody away, even if they come knocking on our personal home doors. It's like, whatever we can do to try to help you or to eliminate just the anxiety that they're having at that moment. Because some of these people, when they come to us, they're in tears. They feel like there's nowhere else that they can go, nowhere else that will listen to them, particularly in this very rural area. They're 20 minutes, which is almost 20 miles approximate, to Seguin. A lot of them don't even have the money for the fuel to make that trip over there to San Marcos. So it's basically
I'm gonna break in just a little bit. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for questions from the board. Does anybody else have any specific questions?
No.
Okay. And one thing I would bring up in my perspective, as far as whether or not the board can fund this agency, one thing that's good to bring up is that all the students attend San Marcos ISD. We have some programs that are school affiliated where we specifically say those programs can serve students from the entire ISD. So they're not limited just to city limits. And I do feel like perhaps the case can be made that these people, like the services are like knitted in with San Marcos. So I think it's gonna be a board call, like in 2 weeks when we're having the discussion sessions. Y'all can talk it through. We can always bring up to the city council, like, hey, this one's just a little bit outside, but they're serving these people who are integrated into our community, and make that recommendation. So I do think it's within your purview to make a recommendation, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also the fact that they're in the ETJ, and I'm looking at the map for Redwood, and it's got three or four San Marcos neighborhoods close to it or right next to it. Yeah, I think a good enough case was made for being able to get funding for us.
Right before COVID, we were so excited because we've been working collaboratively with the San Marcos School District, particularly the Zavala, Bowie, Owen Goodnight, and San Marcos High School. And we actually had 300 attendees for our Fall Fest. And that was a grand number. And the teachers really, they exhaust themselves, and they're there with the students on a day-by-day basis, encouraging them to attend. And that, we were so elated with that number. We're like, wow, 300 attendees, students from the school district. That's almost unheard of in this area. And then COVID hit. And we're now working at re-collaborating with them, because when the COVID hit, that we lost a lot of school liaisons. I guess there weren't as many per campus. And so that's what we were dealing with. But we're in the stages now of regrouping with them so that for this upcoming year, we can be back at surpassing that 300 mark.
That's good information. Thank you. Okay, I think that really helped that you were able to come on by phone. I appreciate that. And I know it's been a long day. So if we don't have any other questions from the board, then I guess we should sort of end this Q&A period and move on to the next item on the agenda. So.
Agreed.
Okay. So Irma, thank you very much. And then I'm gonna go ahead and move you back to being an attendee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, going back to item number 6, discussion items. Anyone else? Comments, thoughts, opinions?
Yeah, I think we're good and everything. One last thing on the Axis and the home presentations. Their letters of accommodation were top notch.
Really?
A lot of good organizations, and even one of them had the Erin Zwiener, the state rep. So she wrote one for them, and that's pretty solid.
I do want to say about Access, I'm really surprised that their numbers went down drastically, like this past summer. Even with adding a registration fee for those high income families, still really surprised that they weren't able to reach those numbers this year. Because I think she mentioned that however many out of those were paid, a lot of them were on scholarship. So I don't know, maybe they didn't have enough scholarship money, or were not able to like fund more than 27. Does that make sense?
We might look at, you might look in your funding, like you have a table that shows previous funding. I think they got more funding in 22 than they did in 23. So that may have had an impact on their numbers. I don't know that for sure. Like, I don't know why their numbers went down so much.
Yeah.
And they also partnered with YSB at one time, and sometimes their numbers go up and down as well, depending on what the students want to do for the summer. So I know when their numbers were up, we also gave them more funding, but they also the numbers, I'm sorry, the student numbers were up at YSB and they were able to pull some students from them. And I think that was like their first partnership with Julie Ramsey New as well. So that may explain a little bit about their numbers.
Is there anything else? Keep going.
Yeah.
All right, item number 7, action items. We will now consider approval of board resolution 2023-02R, revising Human Services Advisory Board Rules and Regulations, Section 4, Board Records, which describes detailed requirements for the minutes of board meetings. Staff will present a brief explanation, followed by discussion and action by the board. Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, so for this, unfortunately, like I do apologize that we have not created minutes this year. We have been trying to get a rehab program off the ground, which has $2 million in funding and is significant. It has all the federal rules to go with it. So that's where Lorena went with her time to do the minutes. So I wanted to let you know what we used to do and then what I'm proposing, basically. And then I'm open to like board feedback on what would be useful to you. So I'll share my screen real quick. I've got a few documents I can show you. Okay, let's close out of this. Okay. We used to do very detailed minutes, and I don't know. Let me see how I can zoom in. Oh, here. Oh my gosh, not that much. Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Okay. So you can see how detailed it was. So we would talk through, like we would summarize the presentation of what somebody was presenting, and then we would summarize what each board member said. And this was for every meeting. This took hours to do. And we honestly, for real, we cannot provide this level of detail. Like we haven't been able to get to it at all. Now, the question is, what alternatives would be useful to you? I'll tell you the minimum that's required is by state law. So Texas Government Code, and let me blow this up a little bit more. You are not actually required to keep minutes. That's how we've kind of gotten away with not doing them all this time. Because we have a recording of each meeting. Now, the thing is, I think taking no minutes might be confusing for the public. And I've talked to my boss, the director of planning and development, and what she pointed out is what they do for the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Zoning Board of Adjustment and that kind of things. They just do action minutes. So they just sort of have a quick record of that a meeting was held. And then if an action is taken by the board, you know, you list what was just, you know, what is the topic. So that's shown on the agenda. And then you list what vote was taken. And that's pretty much it. Or like if there's direction to staff, you know, then we could include that. And so my recommendation, I guess, basically is, even though we could just only have the recordings, what if we change the rules and regulations to say that we will do these minimal sort of action oriented minutes? So let me show you this. These are the rules and regs of the board. It is within your purview to change them. So changes to these rules and regs do not have to go before the city council. Y'all have jurisdiction over this. They were generated because Human Services Advisory Board used to have very detailed bylaws. And the city council, the mayor, asked that every board stop having their own bylaws and just have some standard bylaws. And so when that transition happened, we rolled all the other details that were in your bylaws into rules and regulations. And so those are under your control. So what I'm recommending for minutes is down here. So like the rules that are in your rules and regs right now are pretty detailed. They ask us to list people who speak for each item. and the position taken by each speaker. We could stop describing and summarizing and maybe just, if somebody takes a position on an item, try to determine, oh, this was a position, we should write it down. But I think it'd be easier just to do action minutes. So what I did is I took the wording from the state law and I just put in the basics. So I said, the meetings will be recorded on audio and video. Minutes will be created. It'll state the subject of each deliberation and indicate the vote, decision, or action taken. So that's what I'm offering as, like, maybe we could do that. Y'all are welcome to discuss it and tell me what your preference is.
What does that mean when you said the position? Like, what was it?
So like what we were doing, so it says, reflect a short abstract of the position taken by each speaker. So in contrast, what we were doing was summarizing every single thing everybody said.
Oh.
That was not a position. So what we looked at is really we could change it to where if somebody says something like, I think we should fund HCWC 16,000 because they work with people who have been abused or something like that.
Mhm.
Like that's a position, like why they think they should be funded. So that would be more detail than just stating the final vote. The question is, so it's I'm glad you brought it up, because the question is like, what do you want to end up with on record? If we write down the position taken by each speaker, then once y'all are into your discussion meetings, we're gonna have to summarize what each person says. And it can be, I'm like, Yancey's shaking her head, like, I'm kind of like, that can be kind of messy because we really want y'all to have sort of an open flow of thoughts and to be able to just talk through things and then get to a resolution. So I'm in favor personally of just recording in the end. Here's what we decided to fund. The vote, we will take a roll call vote on the funding allocation and it'll show like if somebody abstains or disagrees, basically. What do y'all think?
I like that too, Carol, because that's a lot when you get into he said, she said, and they have been extremely detailed. But because everything is archived and recorded, we can always go back and look at it. And then if we have like the notes as well, we can compare. But I don't think that they have to be so detailed. And then we also have the video. I think that's a little overkill, especially on the person that's taking the minutes. So I like that it's highlighted, the highlighted points, if they have to be mentioned. If not, then everybody pretty much knows how these standard meetings go, especially our meetings. But because we have the video, I think that eliminates having to have such a detailed minutes.
One thing I did want to bring up before I forget is Mariana has been asking about having a transcript or closed captioning of the meetings. I have asked our communications office a couple of times. I think they're struggling with the format. So like we have been on Zoom, we have checked the box, like create a transcript of this meeting, but we don't know how to open the file. I am sure they can figure it out. And then we may have transcripts of the meeting available too, but so far we have not been able to open the file, just FYI. That's kind of where that went.
Now, Carol, go up a little bit. Right there. So out of each paragraph, we do have to keep a couple sentences out of each paragraph, I think. So for example, meeting minutes shall accurately reflect all motions and seconds. So that sentence definitely should stay in there. Not the next one where, yeah, that one right there. I think that one should stay on there.
Oh, I need to, sorry, do something different. I don't know how to make.
You have to go to edit mode.
Yeah, I can't, I don't know how to make this bar go away. Let me see if I can move it. There we go. Okay, now I can reach edit mode. Okay, sorry. So we could reject that change. There we go.
Okay, so that one, and then that first sentence on the second one. I think, yeah, the rest doesn't really matter. And then the last one, that whole actually paragraph would have to be included. And that's not necessarily for the minutes, that's more for the flow of the.
What I did was on that one, and we can add in some of this if we need it. What I wanted to replace was, see how it says board meeting shall be recorded on audio tape? I wanted to just say it shall be recorded on audio and video, so it's not like the old style. I was just trying to correct the audio tape.
Audio tape, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We could cut off that first sentence and then keep the tapes.
so I could say the recordings of the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, board member recording shall be on. I think that whole sentence needs to be there, but just reword it.
Yeah, there you go, like Joanne said. So those are the only three things I would suggest adding to the bottom provision.
Yeah.
Now, with these changes, I mean, if we go back and keep those there, do we have to postpone this so we can put a motion to vote on it for next meeting, or?
No, we can vote on
Actually,
this
the way I
Yeah.
worded it is, yeah, it's already in your packet as a resolution.
Okay.
And so you can make changes as we go, and then I'll just revise the resolution before anybody signs it. But you're allowed to make changes and then we approve whatever y'all come up with. Yeah,
Right.
so that's the question, but you're good to go.
Okay.
So, back to Yancy.
Well, let me bring up something real quick. I want to make sure Joanne understands the highlighting. I highlighted this part because that's what's in there now, but it's not, we're not keeping it. So is
Okay.
that okay with you? Like, if I'm understanding right, so what I'm trying to say is the minutes will not include the position taken by each speaker. They're just gonna
Okay.
include what was done in the end. Is that what you're thinking too?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good, okay, sorry, go ahead.
So it was that part, but I was thinking it was more like this. Like you list the agency and then you list the presenters.
Oh, so I will, the way they'll look is they will have the whole agenda.
Mhm.
And then, so the whole agenda will be in there as part of the minutes, and then any actions taken will have a line that says, here's what's been done. So they would have the whole, like
Yeah, that's what I thought that
agencies
was
been in.
referring to, but I understand.
Okay, yeah. So what we'll need to do, if y'all are in favor of this, then I'll turn it over to Yancy and we can have a vote.
That's
And
why I said
then-
Yancy upstairs.
Yeah, so, and what you're voting on is a resolution. So the resolution, I numbered it 2023-2R, as amended by the board. And then I'll make the amendments and then we'll have it signed the next time.
So I just keep going.
So you need to hold a vote. So now you'll see the part, yeah, you just keep going.
All right.
So
Yeah,
I'll motion to approve the resolution
as amended by the board.
as amended by the board, yes.
I'll second.
Okay, so we got two, now we can discuss it more if you want to, or we can go straight to vote, it's up to y'all.
Sharif, are you rushing us?
I'm
That's
still-
funny.
I'm still
No,
barely
I'm
alive.
just kidding with you. I know you don't feel good.
I'm really glad you came, by the way. I mean, that's kind of talking out of school, but I'm glad you came, even though you didn't feel good because you made the quorum. So thank goodness. Yeah.
And I was this close to not showing up. I was like 5:35. Yeah. I'll go.
Well, I had a
Right.
gas leak today, so
Ooh,
Yeah, we
yeah,
had all kinds of
we
excitement.
had all kind of stuff today.
but nobody got hit by a tornado, right?
No, I know, right? They just have it on video.
So.
Okay.
are we
San Antonio had
done?
like 7 of them.
Yeah, so I called for the vote.
Okay,
Crazy.
so we're gonna take a vote of the board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. The motion passes
Yes.
by 4.
Motion is approved.
Thank you all very much.
Ah,
Moving on to item number 8, reports. It is now time to receive updates from board members on activities since the last meeting. Does any board member have an update for the group? All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is future agenda items. Board members may provide requests for discussion items for a future agenda in accordance with the board's approved bylaws. No further discussion can be held related to topics proposed until they are posted on a future agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Does any board member want to request an item for a future agenda? All right, we will now move on to the question and answer session with press and public. This is an opportunity for the present public to ask questions related to items on this agenda. Carol, is there anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak to this agenda item?
No.
Moving on to item 11, adjournment. Thank you all for participating. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second the
All right.
motion.
Alrighty. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All against, please say nay. So this meeting is adjourned at 7:44 PM on October 26th.
All right.